Today is an exciting video because yes, I have bought my replacement for the Alfa Romeo 4C, and my word, I've got a lot of explaining to do, but I've bought another Abarth. Many of you on the channel will be very, very happy. Without further ado, I bought an Abarth 124 Spider. So here it is, guys, my Abarth 124 Spider. This is my new car. I have bought this. This has replaced the Alfa Romeo 4C. One of the reasons I wanted this, just listen. God, that Monza sounds good. That sounds good. Now, I've got a bit of explaining to do as to why I purchased this car. And for those who aren't aware, this is a 1.4 litre turbocharged engine. It's a multi-air variant of what the 595 has. 595 runs a T-Jet. This runs about 170 horsepower, 0 to 60 in around 6.8. It's not the quickest thing in the world, but for the remainder of the summer at least, I can have the roof down. Just listen to that. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest, and I'm going to tell you that this was not my first choice of car. My first choice of car, ironically, was I was looking at a Porsche Cayman GT4. Now you're thinking, what? That is a massive leap between, you know, Cayman GT4's 65 grand. This car, I bought it for 15 grand. And the reason behind it is, unfortunately, COVID really did do me over. But that's not taking anything away from this brilliant little car. I love this car. When I bought the 4C, I did say I was literally about a few days away from pulling the trigger on an Abarth 124 Spider. And I didn't do it then because Darren, the magician, managed to get me a solid finance deal on the 4C, and at the time that was fine. You know, I had much more of an income than I do now. I wasn't 15% down on my salary, nor was my wife, which equates to a 30% reduction in household income. The other thing I bought this car is because it's rear-wheel drive with an LSD, and I've already owned an Abarth 595. But let me go back to the point. I was looking at a Cayman GT4. When COVID hit, I invested pretty much all of the savings that I had in Tesla, the stock Tesla. And some would say I got lucky, but that stock rose significantly higher than I thought it ever would. I'll overlay something on the screen so you can have a look. Which put me in a really good position to be able to have a big chunky deposit on a Cayman GT4. However, the stuff that's been going on at work has meant that my actual salary hasn't come back to what it should be, and there's a risk that it might actually not. So financing a Cayman GT4, a 65 grand car, may not be the smartest decision I would have ever made. So I used that deposit money and I bought this car outright and reinvested the rest to try and start to build a bit of a safety blanket should I ever need it, because the reality is I am not made of money. I spent pretty much everything I've ever owned on my cars, and I think it's time now. You know, I've got a mortgage over my head. There was a scary time during COVID where we thought to ourselves, you know, are we going to be able to meet the mortgage payments if one of us lost our job? And I don't ever want to be in that position again. So here is my new car, bought outright, the first car I've ever paid cash for and not owed anything to either a finance company or the bank. That in itself makes me very happy. The other thing with owning this car outright is that I'm not mileage sensitive on it. So for example, if I bought the Cayman GT4 and I wanted to do a nice road trip, my finance agreement would only allow me to do about 6,000 miles a year. And I don't want to just do 6,000 miles a year. I want to take this to Monaco, I want to take this to Italy, I want to rack miles on this car. It's a 2016 plate car, 20,000 miles on the clock, and it's mine and I'm really happy with it. Don't get me wrong, I would have loved the GT4, but now is not the right time, and the GT4 will come eventually. The other element as well, having the Abarth 695 70th Anniversario really brought back a lot of nostalgia, and more so when I started to go back to the community and start to see everybody at the meets, and I loved that, and it was the reason that I got into YouTube, so it only felt fitting to buy another Abarth. I just listened to the Monza, man. That Monza sounds so good. So good. Over these little arched trees. Listen, I'll drop it right down again into first. Look. And it's not the quickest car in the world, but I haven't stopped smiling since I started the video. It's cheap to run, it's cheap to insure. Really and truly, I'm winning this way. There are some modifications, ironically, that I have already purchased and they are en route. The first of which, I'm sure you'll all know, will be some kind of stance. I need to lower it and widen it a little bit, and I've already made contact with my friends at Motec, and we are definitely going to be doing some stuff pretty soon. The other one, so many of you guys have said this and I finally bit the bullet and just did it. I bought myself a personal number plate, so that will be coming very soon as well. And of course with the LSD, that back end kicks out so much, but it's so easy to control as well. It's so forgiving. There isn't stupid amounts of power on this which is going to end up, you know, writing the car off. You've got to be careful because it is still deceiving. It can go, and it can go pretty quickly, particularly in the wet, but it's so controllable, it's so fun. And having the roof down right now, I'm hoping you guys can hear me. Apologies if there's wind noise. I haven't actually tested it out, but it is just such a fun car. And guys, I'm just super grateful to own a car again. You know, I've been the best part of 3 months without a car. Thank you massively, because Abarth UK stepped in with the 695, and that's not going to last forever, so I had to buy a car. And the decision to buy this over the GZ4 was a really tough one, but I think it was the right decision. It was the right decision to be able to stay within the Abarth community, but it was also the right decision for my wallet. And that, at the moment, is what is the most important thing, in my opinion, because we still don't know what's going to happen with these, you know, COVID times, and it worries me a little bit. I'm going to need tyres soon if I keep going like that. I'll turn the traction back on. The thing that worries me with the COVID times is it looks like we're potentially going to get a second wave, and I work in aviation, so if you watch the news, you'll know aviation is one of the hardest hit sectors across everyone. This is probably one of the most adult decisions I've made. I'm getting old, aren't I, guys? But great news for the Abarth community. I'm now officially back in the community. I'm going to try and upsell so many of you guys into the Abarth 124 because I love this car. Let me talk to you a quick bit about the spec before I sign off from the video. So the car I was specifically looking for, I wasn't too fussed about the colour, but I got it in this wicked heritage white, which is kind of the hero colour, the one that it was launched in. I love it with the red mirrors and the red kind of accents in the front with the heritage stripe. I bought that because I just liked it and it was what was available at the time for the money. The specific things that you need to go for if you are buying a 124, and this was what was on my must-have list, it has to have the visibility pack. Check, we've got the visibility pack. It has to have the Bose sound system. Check, we've got the Bose sound system. And it has to have the nav. And realistically, that pretty much is a fully spec car because they didn't do many options for this car. So I'm super pleased with my purchase. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the car. Yes, some of you might have liked to have seen something as an upgrade to the 4C. This technically is a downgrade to the 4C, but in the current climate, for me, I'm happy with the decision I've made. I hope you guys are happy as well. And if you're not, tough, because you didn't buy me the car.